All right, I think this live stream is going to be happening here.
Good. So Kate, do we have everyone in the meeting that's coming to the meeting? Are there any still waiting in the waiting room?
I was going to say, that's the $1 million question.
It doesn't look like there's anybody else in the waiting room right now, but other people have been showing up, so.
Don't forget, Super Bowl is at 6 o'clock. We're running out of time.
Oh, yeah.
Joanne, we'll get you there, Joanne.
Okay.
There's a Jerry A in the waiting room.
Jerry A.
I'm going to admit.
Yeah, see who that is.
Jerry Asbury.
Oh, that would make sense. Okay, so we are streaming to YouTube now. Yay us. All right, so Shannon, I'm going to go ahead and remove your co-host capacity because otherwise you're not going to be able to vote. So
Perfect.
And then I'll keep watching. I'll keep watching Kate, who's coming in.
We've got Lori Corbett.
Yeah, I saw that.
I got a question. To vote, do both Karen and I need to be on separate?
Yes, you do.
I'm going to give her mine and I'll just grab my computer and get on that, okay?
Okay, James.
Hey, Joanne,
Yes, Barry.
you need to change me from Unity Spiritual to Barry Jerome.
I'll rename you. Yep. Thanks, Barry.
Thank you.
Yep. All right, we have 62 people in here now. Yay. This is the most people that we've seen gathered together in a year.
That's right.
Yay.
Sure.
Yay us. Kimberly, I'm going to pull your co-host capacity because otherwise you will not be able to vote.
Do you need to put my last name in too?
I mean, I will, but we know who you are, but I will. All right. Hey, I think we did pretty good. 12:31, and I think we're ready to go. I don't see anybody else in the waiting room, and I'll just continue to watch that.
Okay, wonderful. Well, thank you everyone for joining. I am so pleased that we have more than 60 people here on this cold but bright sun shining Sunday in early February. And I want to welcome everybody. I wish we could be gathering in community. Instead, we're just going to have to connect in community. That's perfectly fine. So I would now like to turn over the floor to Reverend Joanne for our opening prayer.
Sure. I'm going to go ahead and mute everybody at this time before we start that. So you are now muted. And I'll take away the chat in just a moment, but I'm going to start us off with some prayer. So let's just take a breath together. As we center ourselves here in this space, this virtual meeting platform, so grateful for the technology that has allowed us to not only connect today, but to remain connected throughout this past year. Grateful to each of you for showing up, for saying yes to being here today. Grateful for everything that has gone into this virtual meeting. We simply acknowledge that Holy Spirit of God is moving in through and as us all is that wisdom, that intelligence, and that harmonizing love that is divine. We give ourselves over to that in such gratitude for this community, for our relationship with one another, and for our knowing God here now. And we pray this and through the power of that living, loving Christ nature, our true nature, as we say, thank you, God. Thank you, God. And so it is. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Reverend Joanne. So now I would like to call this meeting to order. Madam Secretary, please note in the minutes, I call this meeting to order at 12:33 p.m. And if you have the agenda open, you may follow along with me in the reading of the affirmation. If not, just hold it in your heart and listen along. The opening affirmation is, we at Unity Spiritual Center dare to be the light of God. One with divine mind, we let inspiration guide higher thoughts. With loving words and actions, we join together in creating a world that unites us all. Amen.
Amen.
And now I'd like to turn over the floor to Board Secretary Shannon Hoff-Smith for the presentation of the meeting rules.
All right, these are the rules for the 2021 annual meeting. We will follow Robert's Rules of Order. We will not entertain any items not on the agenda. If you have any other questions, please submit them in writing for the next town hall meeting. Only members of record may vote or make motions. One person will have the floor at a time. Please be respectful of that person and do not interrupt. If you wish to make a comment, please raise your hand when the floor is open and wait to be acknowledged. A motion must be on the floor before discussion begins. When making or seconding a motion, please say your name for the record. During discussion of a motion, comments will be limited to 3 minutes and no one will be given the floor for more than 3 times. For your vote to be counted, you must use the yes or no reactions in the Zoom platform. In addition, addressing the chair. Only voting members may address the chair. Voting members, once recognized, must give their name before beginning to speak. Discussions, including questions and answers, must be directed to the chair or through the chair when these are in order. Seeking recognition to speak. To seek recognition, members must use the raise your hand tool in Zoom. Once called on to speak, members must state their name before beginning to speak. Actions recognized by members. Voting members, once recognized, may do one of the following: make or second a motion, speak in debate, or discuss a subject. No speech may be followed by a motion. Interrupting items. Any voting member who wishes to raise a point of order or appeal a ruling of the chair shall raise their hand, unmute their microphone, and state clearly point of order or appeal, and then wait to be recognized by the chair before proceeding. Anonymous voting. The online voting system in Zoom shall be used for voting. There will be no voice votes. However, to facilitate action on matters of general agreement, the adoption by the voting members of matters by unanimous consent may take place. The method for accomplishing this via Zoom was included in the separate technical instructions documents that were sent to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. And now the next item on the agenda is the minutes from the 2020 annual meeting.
Greg, could I stop us there for just a minute? Because Kate was going to give some brief instructions one more time on how to find the yes and the no and the
Perfectly fine.
raising hand. Yeah, because people are going to
Absolutely.
need to know that for approving the minutes. So go ahead, Kate.
Great, thank you. So it's just a little mini Zoom how-to. So in general, if you do not see any controls, what we call controls are like little buttons that should be down at the bottom of your screen if you're on a laptop or maybe around your iPad or your iPhone. If you don't see those, just like tap or click on the screen to bring those controls back up. You can tap or click view and then speaker. If you want to see one large speaker video, that might help when people are giving presentations like Greg or Joanne. You can, otherwise you're going to see those little teeny videos. You can also tap or click view and then click gallery to go back to seeing all those little individual videos. So how to raise your hand, like if you did have a question during the meeting, you wouldn't just raise your hand physically in the video. What you would want to do is use the electronic raise your hand option. And so if everybody could try and find where that is, you're basically going to tap or click reactions, and then, or it might be labeled as more on your screen, and then you should see the raise your hand option. When you do that, that will then notify me that somebody has a question, and I'll stop the meeting and say, actually, Michelle Coles has a question. I'm going to lower your hand. Lori Corbett, Barry Drosick, like all of you just tested raising your hand, so I saw that. So then when that notifies me, I'll call upon you and then you can unmute yourself. Because like Joanne said, I don't have the ability to unmute you, just mute. And then you can ask your question out loud. So how to find yes or no. We are going to utilize the yes or no for little votes. So again, this will be in the reactions or the more section. And you should see the green yes button, the no button. You can test those now if you'd like. And again, this will notify us of your choice. Lastly, we did disable chat, but you can chat with me if you have a technical question. I am going to try and keep an eye on that, even though I'm also watching out for raised hands and yes or no. But if you have a question, just, tap chat, or it might also be in your more section. So tap more and then chat. You can type your message in the box and it should say it's just coming to me, Kate. And then when it comes to voting in the poll, so we're going to have a poll for the board nominees, the candidates. So at that time, Joanne will, or I will, launch the poll, and it will be blatantly obvious how to vote in it. It's basically just going to be like a pop-up on your screen. The candidates will be listed and you will vote for 3, no more than 3. You won't miss the poll. It'll be blatantly obvious. So I think that's it. But again, if you have a question, feel free to chat me. It looks like Larita raised her hand, so I don't know if she literally has a question.
Bonnie has her hand raised too.
Yeah, can you
Her
not find
physical
the
hand.
Yeah, can you not find you have to unmute yourself.
So Larita, we're wondering if you have a question and if you can unmute yourself and let us know. No unmute happening here. So Larita, I'm going to lower your hand. And if you have a question, perhaps you'd like to put it into the chat box, because I don't know if you're having trouble unmuting. So you can just type your question into the chat box and that will go right to Kate and she'll let us know what your question is.
And then I think Bonnie had a question as well. And I think you're unmuted.
Yep, the only reactions that I have are the clap and the thumbs up. I don't see a raised hand or a yes, no anywhere, and I don't see more.
You have 3 little dots.
Bonnie, mine is a clap too. I just use the clap as a hand.
Okay, and then the thumbs up as a yes or thumbs down as a no, maybe?
Well,
it might actually be when you open up the participants window. Open up the participants window, and then at the bottom of that participants window,
okay.
you'll probably see those reactions.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
And Larita did chat me her question. Her question was, can you please repeat how to vote? So voting in the poll will be obvious. It will pop up on your screen and it'll list the candidates' names, and then you will select 3 and send your vote in. It's called a poll. So at the appropriate time, we will basically bring that up on the screen for everyone to vote.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Larita. Good to have you here.
Hello.
And thank you, Kate, for that Zoom Meetings 101. That was great. So back to the agenda. We are at the minutes from the 2020 annual meeting from last year. We had included a link in the communication email to the members earlier in the week. And one of the links was to those minutes. We actually had a person make a correction to us to those minutes, which we have corrected, and the corrected copies have been sent out. So hopefully everyone's had a chance to review those. And at this point, I would like to make a motion to waive the reading of the minutes. May I have a second for the waiving of the reading of the minutes?
Barry Roses raised his hand.
Yeah, I'll second.
Okay. Madam Secretary, please write down the maker of the motion and the second. And now I would like to take a vote for approval of the minutes from the 2020 annual meeting. I have a second to that.
Michelle and Tim. Barry, take your pick.
Okay, very good. So
hello, this is Dale, and as parliamentarian, I just want to bring to your attention that you did not vote on the motion to waive the reading of the minutes.
oh, thank you, Dale. So all in favor of waiving the reading of the minutes, please use your yes button on your Zoom screen. Okay, and all those opposed?
Greg, are you able to view how many voted yes or no, or is that only something Joanne and I can see?
I can see it, and I don't have a tally. The computer hasn't given me a tally, but I see
No
almost
no's. Do we see any no's?
only green. I see only green.
Yeah, so I would say all the participants.
I see 24 yeses and 1 no.
That's about right. I see one. You're right. I do see one no. So, yes, the motion passes. So we will not be reading the minutes. Now, we've already made the motion and received the second for the voting of the approval of the minutes. And I ask now for everyone in favor of approving 2020 minutes to please use the yes button on their Zoom screen.
I don't see a yes button.
It's under the reactions, Joanne.
So Kate, what I'm noticing is that the yeses go away after a certain period of time. So that's why it's hard to get the exact count.
Oh,
Right.
Because it was up to like 46 yeses and then they started disappearing, right? So it might be easier to keep count of the no's and then.
Yes. So, okay, then all opposed to the approval of last year's minutes? Okay, I see no dissenting votes, so the motion passes. And thank you, Mr. Parliamentarian, for setting us straight on procedure. Do appreciate that. So now moving on to the next item on the agenda, which is the message from the president. Again, this was one of the documents that we included in the packet of information sent to the membership earlier in the week. If you've had a chance to review that, that's great. If not, I'm just going to read what I have sent, and we'll go from there. So for many people, Unity Spiritual Center is not just a place we visit once per week on Sundays. It's a place where we learn and grow, where we laugh and cry, where we seek comfort, and where we provide solace. It's a place found on a 6-acre campus in Westlake, Ohio, yes, but more truly found within the hearts, minds, and souls of those who call it home. We often think in our modern world that what we are experiencing now is happening for the first time. In some respects, that's true. The outward manifestations of our global situation are unique. But humans throughout time and in place all share the same fundamental hopes and fears. A hope for a better tomorrow and a fear that something will prevent that from happening. Charles Dickens summed up this idea in the opening paragraph of his classic, A Tale of Two Cities, which was published in 1859. It was the best of times, it was the worst of times. People know that much of the phrase, but we'll go on with the rest of it as well. It was the best of times, it was the worst of times. It was the age of wisdom, it was the age of foolishness. It was the epoch of belief, it was the epoch of incredulity. It was the season of light, it was the season of darkness. It was the spring of hope, it was the winter of despair. We had everything before us and we had nothing before us. We were all going direct to heaven, we were all going direct the other way. In short, the period was so far like the present period that some of its noisiest authorities insisted on its being received for good or evil in the superlative degree of comparison only. That could have been written last week. The world is not in the throes of another French Revolution, as Dickens was referring to in his novel, but the COVID crisis has, for me, revealed the best of times and the worst of times in many ways. In February of last year, our new board of trustees was seated, and we look forward to the coming year with optimism. Then in the beginning of March, we and the rest of the world learned about COVID-19. When people in the United States received the first public health advisory that we should begin taking precautions to slow the spread of the virus, we honored that request. On Sunday, March the 8th, for the first time, we did not hug or shake hands while attending service. We learned the term social distancing. As public health conditions changed and more information became available, our Board of Trustees decided that beginning on Sunday, March the 22nd, we would begin holding services by live stream virtual platform only. Our worship team responded marvelously in providing the best possible experience for our spiritual community. Reverend Joanne Rowden continued to give us wise teaching, inspiration, and a feeling that everything is going to be okay, with her calming demeanor and kind words of assurance. Our music team, led by Bonnie Chase, found a way to continue giving us the musical experience that is so vital to remaining grounded in spiritual practice. Our soloists were ready, willing, and able to continue singing for us, even if it was only from their living rooms instead of on stage at Unity Hall. The prayer chaplains continue to offer us their important sacred service with affirmative prayer and meditations. The audiovisual team stepped forward to link together each contributor to our live stream and have it presented as a cohesive unit. No one knew for how long we would be holding Sunday services online only. As the weeks turned into months, a new routine had been established. Yet for all the fabulous work being done by all, we felt something better could be done. It was decided that operating with only a minimum number of sacred servers and no congregants present, live stream Sunday services would return to Unity Hall on Sunday, September the 8th, 2020. Reverend Joanne, the worship team, and the Board of Trustees felt that while our congregation may not be able to be present, seeing Unity Hall on the live stream each week was a positive reminder that we will once again be gathering again in fellowship. As virtual services and live stream become a more important vehicle for communications for Unity Spiritual Center, it was also decided to upgrade our live stream equipment. Through generous donations, we received the funds to do just that. The new cameras and processing equipment installed in October 2020 have greatly enhanced our capabilities. Because of COVID restrictions, Unity Spiritual Center has not held indoor fellowship, classes, or services since March of last year. By late spring, when it became apparent that such protocols may be with us for an indefinite amount of time, we began thinking of ways for us to meet together, not just via virtual means, such as Sunday live streams or Zoom meetings. I decided that I would organize a 6-week outdoor Saturday worship service beginning on July the 11th. We put a large tent on the lawn west of Unity Hall and set up audio equipment to broadcast the service. Unity ministerial student Michelle Coles provided the message, the prayer, and the meditation. Al Buhner and John Schlegel provided technical support, and Jesse St. Christopher and I provided music. The services were well attended by a dedicated group of congregants who valued the in-person experience. Following that 6 weeks of Saturday worship, I organized an interfaith dialogue discussion series. Once again outdoors under the tent canopy, we set up a TV monitor and watched messages from Hindu, Christian, Buddhist, Muslim, Jewish, and Unity spiritual leaders and discussed what we heard. Moving into autumn, we decided to forego the electronic equipment, but instead host an outdoor fireside chat series. Again, for 6 weeks, we made a fire in a portable fire pit and gathered around to read inspirational Unity teachings and discuss them. I was present at all 18 sessions, and it helped me to remain firmly grounded in the Unity Spiritual Center community. Although I hope that the circumstances that prompted these events are never repeated, I will always remember fondly the summer and autumn of 2020 for the learning, love, and fellowship they provided for me. I hope others who attended feel the same. And I'm going to go off script here for just a minute. At our marketing meeting on Thursday, it was pointed out to me by Shirley and by Cindy how full our calendar is. I happened to count the number of items on the February calendar. We have 74 opportunities to connect at Unity Spiritual Center, even during this time. We are so blessed that so many people are so willing to do the work to keep our community alive and vibrant. So returning to the message, because of COVID protocols, our Unity Spiritual Center building remains mostly unused, except for administration and a small group of sacred servers providing Sunday live stream. But empty buildings have a way of still requiring maintenance. Led by Board of Trustees Vice President Eileen Spada, during 2020, we continue to give our building the TLC it deserves. Among the more notable things that were accomplished is we replaced the furnace in the classroom wing of the building. We had a professional cleaning service do a deep cleaning of all of our flooring, all of our restrooms, and both kitchens. We repaired a leaking roof in Unity Hall. The storm drain outside the community room, which for a long time had been the cause of flooding during heavy rains, was cleared and rerouted away from the building, and gutter guards were installed to help minimize blockages. And our grounds were equally lovingly maintained on a nearly daily basis by Diane and Tom Spence and Jim Larson. We were so grateful for that. Unity Spiritual Center owns a house and 2 lots that are adjacent to our campus, known as Prosperity House. It had been a rental property for a number of years, but when our tenants moved out in 2019, it was decided to sell the properties rather than invest funds into major repairs that would be needed. The Board of Trustees attempted to complete a contract of sale with a commercial developer, but because of code restrictions, the builder decided it would not be profitable and did not exercise their purchase option. The Board of Trustees discussed a potential sale with other builders, but none were interested in purchasing the property. It was then decided to offer the property for sale to private buyers. We reviewed the property lines of the 2 lots and our main campus and decided to append a small portion of each of the 2 lots to our main property. This added approximately 40 feet more depth to the Unity Spiritual Center lot, which provides greater privacy to our campus, a larger buffer to the labyrinth area, and potentially saves the felling of many dozens of trees. We had a survey team provide the engineering drawings and completed the process of approval with the City of Westlake and Cuyahoga County, and the changes were officially recorded in December of 2020. On Sunday, the 27th of December, we announced to our congregation the offering of sale for Prosperity House and the adjacent vacant lot for $225,000. Wanting to give our congregation the first opportunity to purchase the property, it is being offered for sale only to our congregation until February 25th, 2021, which is 60 days from that announcement. As of the writing of this president's report, and even as of today, as I wrote the report earlier in the week, we have not received any offers for purchase. Unity teaches the concepts of prosperity and abundance. We know that true prosperity is represented by the hundreds of volunteer hours given by countless people, their time, the skilled services provided by so many of our congregation, their talent, and by the finances to meet our physical needs, their treasure. In the past 10 months, our congregation has demonstrated that they understand Unity's 5 principles, especially number 5, living the truth that you know. As we move into 2021, not knowing when we will be able to once again gather in community, I am so grateful to everyone in our congregation for the faith and love they have shown for Unity Spiritual Center and our Board of Trustees. Until we can be together in person, I encourage everyone to continue to connect in community as we have been doing during the past year. This is the best of times because of you. My personal thanks to everyone. Now go and be the light. Thank you very much. So with that reading of the President's report, I would like to yield the floor to the Board of Trustees Treasurer, Todd Bartimel, for the Treasurer's report.
Everybody. Greg went over how we've had a challenging year due to the pandemic, the best of times and the worst of times. I think my treasurer's report overall is that we are maintaining and we're doing well. So I'm going to dive into more of the nitty-gritty, but we have our prosperity remains with us, and I'm looking forward to this year also. I've been very grateful for the opportunity to have served as treasurer this past year, and I'm also very happy to present the financial report today. It's hard to believe that it's, when I wrote this, at least, it hadn't been quite a year since COVID-19 caused the Board of Trustees to begin holding online services only. It's been a little less than a year. One of the board's concerns for Unity's finances this year was how the pandemic would affect our contributions. Being with each other each Sunday has been such an important part of our spiritual community. But through online services, daily calls, and other methods of bringing the community together, we've weathered a really difficult year, and financially, we've also weathered this storm. And we have plenty to be grateful for financially. Before I get into the report, and as Greg was saying, there are always so many people that lead to the success of Unity, and it's no different here. I'm so grateful to everybody who helps with the finances, especially Donna Metzger and Kathy Gidro, who really carried the accounting since the pandemic set in earlier this year. You know, we had counters and we had maintenance of the square, and we had people who helped, and I'm also grateful to them. But all of their efforts have kind of been cut short by the pandemic. I hope that we all get back into in-person Sundays at some point this year, so that we can all continue that service. I also want to thank anyone who I may not have named who has helped with the finances in 2020. Just a broad overview. In 2020 provided us with some big challenges, but also demonstrated some of Unity's congregational strength. Not surprisingly, donations have been down this year, which is somewhat expected with the pandemic and us not being present with each other. However, our expenses also did go down a bit, which has helped keep that in check. We also did receive a $24,500 federal PPP loan, which is not included in the contributions in the financial report, but it does help make sure that we could pay salaries and the mortgage interest this year. It is considered a loan. However, we have every expectation that we will be successful in having it considered a grant under the terms of the program. We've applied to have the $24,500 grant that we received considered a grant rather than a loan, and we have no reason to believe that it will not be. To begin our examination of the finances, I think we start with a basic income expense analysis. 2020's total contributions, rental income, and activities, this does not include the PPP grant, total $313,505.83. For comparison, 2019, that number was $362,908.53 in income. Our gross profit, which is all of the income from all sources, less expenses for rentals and activities, was $310,649.10 this year. Again, this is down from last year about $26,500 or 8.5%. Last year was $337,064.76. 2020 expenses were $282,370.57, and this was down $6,685.04 from last year. We did have some large expenses this year, as Greg was indicating, the replacement of our HVAC system in the youth side of the church. We also spent money on recoating the parking lot and the other expenses that Greg had mentioned. The endowment fund, which started in 2017, has continued to grow. The endowment committee made a goal of raising $10,000 in donations in 2020. This goal wasn't met, and I'll have a report going more in depth to this, but we really did make steady progress in donations and growth of the funds this year. Each year the fund grows, we ensure the long-term financial health and prosperity of Unity, and the endowment committee report will more thoroughly discuss this. The balance as of the end of the year was $33,289.54. We've tried to put $1,000 a month into a building fund every month. However, significant expenses this year, including the roof, the parking lot, the HVAC, major cleaning and carpet costs this year, kept us from saving $12,000 towards that goal. the fund actually, which includes some donations from parishioners that were earmarked for certain building projects, stands now at $6,250. Looking at our income this year, we received, we usually had donations during services separated from others. Kind of got a little mixed up this year because we didn't have them. But so adding them all together, the live stream income, Facebook, what we would normally consider services, what checks that you've mailed in, etc. Those donations totaled $280,687.83. It was about 89% of our income. Sunday service donations that we, at least the ones that we categorized that way, were $248,661.21. Again, comparing to 2019, that was down from about 291,000. In the report, you can see that there are broken out. We had Facebook donations of about 25,000, Sunday services of 248, special services of 2,500. We had a special $60. Income that we could identify as coming from live stream was 3,030. Silent meditation service was 253. The kitchen donations were 169, and other contributions were $681. The total then came out to $286.8783. We did have some activities income, which was $7,732.12. It's way down from last year, obviously, because we were unable to use the building for most of the year. Same thing goes with rentals for weddings, etc. It was only $1,500 this year. Because of the pandemic, we really were not able to realize income from events the same way we have been in previous years. This in itself was a reduction of income in about $30,000 and an $11,000 in rental income. So activities and rentals were down, quite a bit. Switching over to expenses, our largest expense for 2020 was salaries and employer expenses. This number fell from $139,727 in 2019 to $124,530 in 2020, including other employer expenses like FICA, workers' compensation, payroll expenses. We spent $132,150, down from $150,566 last year. This category is about 47% of our annual expenses. The youth director is in a different category, just so you know that it's not included in that. Second largest category was for debt and principal payments on the mortgage, which totaled $56,247. $28,027 was principal and $28,219 was interest. These two payments comprise about 19% of expenses. One area of increased expenses from last year, because almost all of them were down, and our third largest expense was in building and grounds. This year we spent $34,880.68. Last year was less than half of that, $15,078.46. As we mentioned, some of these expenses were not avoidable. When the air conditioning and heating goes down, you kind of have to do something. We did have the drainage issues that were repaired, and some other preventative work that really needed to be done. Our fourth largest expense were tithes and contributions. That was $30,047.09, about 11% of our total expenses. Telephone and utilities was $14,000 or 5%. Administrative expenses paid came out to $15,186. Service expenses increased significantly from 2019 to 2020 due to our investment in the live stream, which was a good use of money, since that's the way we're all getting our connection with Unity. Youth activities, Prosperity House, board and staff, advertising, marketing, and other equipment expenses like the office copier rounded out the expenses this year. One of our continuing expenses is payment of the taxes and upkeep on Prosperity House. As Greg mentioned, we've made a decision to sell the house and the adjacent land. We did go through the legal process of dividing off the back portion of the two properties to add to our land and make sure that we had a buffer between the properties being sold and our land. We've communicated to the congregation that the property is being sold, and should no one in the community proceed to make an offer, we'll be listing it for public sale. As Greg mentioned, we wanted to make sure that Unity and Unity members and parishioners had the opportunity to bid on the property before it was made available to the public at the end of this month. Unity, we tithe each month to various organizations and charities. This is a list of the tithes made in 2020, which, as I mentioned before, is about 11% of our annual income. Unity Worldwide Ministries, 3%, Silent Unity, 2%, Unity Worldwide, Ministries for Conferences, 2%, Unity Worldwide Ministries for Great Lakes region, 1%, Unity Daily Word, rotating with Unity FM Radio, 1%. The minister has discretion with 1%, and nonprofit organizations chosen by the board from recommendations received 1%. The nonprofit organizations that were supported by our tithes this year were Benjamin Rose, Institute on Aging, Community Housing Solutions, Daniel Maymod, Domestic Violence and Child Advocacy Center, Violence and Child Advocacy Center, Eliza Jennings, Fieldstone Farm Therapeutic Riding Center, Frontline Services, Genesis House, Great Lakes Unity Region, Greater Cleveland Food Bank, HFLA of Northeast Ohio, the Jack Mulhall Center, Jim Rosemary, Aaron Drucker, May Dugan, Michelle Coles, Ohio Legal Help, Out Support, Pathway Caring for Children, Reverend Jack Hernandez, Reverend Kelly Isola, Revolutionary Love Project, Ronald McDonald House. I think I mentioned Silent Unity twice, maybe. Silent Unity, City Mission, Cleveland Hunger Network, the Greater Cleveland Food Bank, LCADA Way, Unity Online Radio, Unity Daily Word, Unity Spiritual Center Capital Account, Unity World Headquarters, Unity Worldwide Ministries, and Westlake Meals on Wheels. At the end of the year, Unity Spiritual Center had $106,606.77 in liquid financial assets. This amount is higher actually than the amount of $88,294.38 reported at the end of 2019. An $11,670 increase in the endowment fund during last year has helped with that increase. Financial assets are listed below. The capital account has $37,640. The endowment account $33,289. The Fifth Third operating account has $15,845.63. The youth account has $7,036.60. The Giving Tree has $14,020.36. We have $100 in petty cash and in the safe in the office, Petty cash for the youth. For youth is $48. Petty cash, additional petty cash is $41, and kitchen penny cash is $29.98. We have our old capital account that's currently empty. Next year, I presume that will no longer be on the report. We do have the Sunshine Fund and the building account, but those are reflected within the capital account. Capital account contains funds that are designated for specific future purposes, primarily events. The Giving Tree account is built to be used for large visionary projects, such as the repayment of Unity Hall mortgage. Sunshine funds may be used for unanticipated expenses, which add 1% of undesignated income each month to the Sunshine Fund whenever possible. And at the same time, we make tithes and contributions. The list of financial assets further demonstrates that we are in a strong financial position as we have cash on hand to deal with variations in our cash flow. Our fixed assets, which cover our buildings and other long-term capital assets, stood at $880,963.50 at the end of 2020. This is a bit lower than last year, reflecting depreciation of property and furnishings and equipment. In conclusion, we're really blessed to have ended 2020 with our finances not only intact, but in good shape. While our donations were down this year, the PPP grant from the federal government assisted us in keeping a good balance sheet. The board, like the congregation, prays and envisions our congregation being able to meet together at the Unity Spiritual Center soon or sometime this year, and to continue our spiritual growth and our connection. We'll be able to continue and expand our services to facilitate our spiritual experience, enrichment, and growth through Unity principles. While we're in a good position in the beginning of 2021, challenges do remain. As the pandemic drags on, we have seen a decrease in member contributions. Our December contributions were significantly lower than in past years, so we do need to be conscious of the need for Unity to continue to receive donations from the congregation to continue to thrive. Our board, we still set an intention of receiving $8,000 a month to pay for all of the things that Unity does.
Per week.
I'm sorry, a week. Thank you, Greg. A week. By remaining true to Unity principles, invoking the abundance of the universe and allowing spirit to move us, we will, just as we have, meet each of our challenges and make the most of our opportunities and our gifts. The pandemic has proven that spirit is greater than any one location, but it is part of all of us. Again, I want to thank everyone who's contributed to Unity this year. Our members and visitors' donations make everything here possible. Your commitment to Unity and donation of your time, treasures, and talent have made Unity a place of love and peace, which radiates out into our city, state, country, world, and universe. I'm in awe of all of the work that goes into making this a vibrant and loving community. I want to thank the members of the board for all of their hard work and commitment this year. I want to thank Reverend Joanne for her daily work and support of Unity and each and every one of us. And I want to thank all of the volunteers in Sacred Service here. And last but not least, I'd like to thank everyone here who contributes financially to Unity and who make this community what it is. Respectfully submitted, Todd Bartmore.
Thank you, Todd. That's an excellent summary. Even though I knew all of that as a Board of Trustees member, it's always good to hear in concrete terms that we're doing fine, and that's due to all of the people on this call and everyone who was not on this call and who's watching via YouTube or will watch this later. So we're truly, truly grateful. Thank you, Todd.
Thank you.
So I would now like to give the floor to the opportunity for any questions from anyone who has just heard the treasurer's report.
Looks like Terry has a question. If you want to go ahead and unmute yourself, Terry.
Yes. Wow, that was an excellent report, Todd, and my congratulations to the whole finance team, Donna, Kathy Ginter, Greg, the board, everybody. You're doing an extraordinary job. My question is, if no congregants or members come forward to purchase Prosperity House, what is the process that happens next? Are you going to list it with an agency, or what's going to happen with the sale of the property?
You want to answer that, Greg? Or?
Yeah, I'll answer that. We will be giving an update, a Board of Trustees update next week. And that's not an agenda item for the annual meeting. So I don't want to go too deeply into that today, as that we will be giving a full update on that question next Sunday. Thank you for the question, though. Are there any other questions from participating members for the treasurer or anyone else on the Board of Trustees? Okay, very good. So now at this time, I would like to give the floor to Trustee Brian Nelson for the introduction of the nominating committee report, and then to Dale Miller.
Good afternoon, all you beautiful people. So last meeting, or last annual meeting, it was Deb Larson and Tom Spence that were voted to the nominating committee. However, in September, Deb had to resign, and through our bylaws, we elected Dale Miller, and Dale also became the head of the nominating committee. And I want to thank everybody that we called, because we didn't know what this was going to look like. And so thank you to all the people we called who thought about it and we interviewed. And this was just a really phenomenal experience for myself, being the first time through it. But at this time, I'll turn it over to Dale so that he can give his report for the nominating committee.
Thank you very much, Brian. For the 2020-2021 nominating team, Tom Spence was chosen by the membership and Brian Nelson was chosen as board representative. I was asked later by the board to fill a vacancy on the nominating team. Reverend Joanne was our fourth member. I was chosen by the team as chairperson. The primary purpose of the nominating team is to recommend candidates for the Unity Spiritual Center Board of Trustees to the membership. 3 members of the board are up for election at today's meeting. Eileen Spada expressed a desire to run for a second term and is one of the candidates being presented today. John McFarland and Sandra Legal chose not to run for a second term. I express my thanks and appreciation to John and Sandra for their outstanding service. We held 5 meetings starting on September 29th and concluding on December 16th. We started by setting the intention that God provide an abundance of qualified and willing candidates for the Unity Spiritual Center Board of Trustees. This intention was amply fulfilled. Not only did we receive 4 outstanding candidates that are being presented today, we had multiple other candidates who desired to serve on the board and initially planned to run, but had to withdraw due to personal circumstances that developed later. At our first meeting, we reviewed the list of people who have been active members of Unity, with particular attention to people who had recently indicated interest in board service, and we came up with a list of potential candidates. At a later meeting, we augmented that list with a second list of candidates. We approached our potential candidates to find those interested in serving on the board. Those who expressed interest completed a questionnaire and interviewed with the nominating team. At these interviews, we learned more about the perspectives that each potential candidate had regarding spirituality and board service. We also provided the candidates additional information about board service and answered questions. We came away with a positive opinion about each of the candidates that we interviewed. After our candidates were chosen, we worked with them to provide pictures, biographical statements, and brief videos, which were posted on Unity's website to help our members with their difficult decisions in choosing candidates. We also played the videos at Sunday services in January. On January 31st, the 4 board candidates attended the fellowship time after service, made presentations, and answered questions from the membership. In just a moment, you'll hear from each candidate one final time before we vote to choose our Board of Trustees members. So having prayerfully completed this extensive process, the nominating committee is very pleased to recommend Kristen Harwell, Kathy Lowry, Eileen Spada, and Marilyn Volkerding as our candidates for your consideration for the Unity Spiritual Center Board of Trustees. The other responsibility is to recommend one person to fill the one position on the endowment team that becomes open each year. That aspect will be discussed later in this meeting. I would like to thank my partners on the nominating team, Brian Nelson, Tom Spence, and Reverend Joanne for their total cooperation, outstanding service, and great wisdom. I would also like to thank our candidates for their willingness to accept our invitation to be considered as candidates for the board. I express my gratitude to the board and the team for the confidence you placed in me to be asked to fill this vacancy on the nominating team and then be chosen as chairperson. I have one final note. If any member in good standing would like to be considered for service on the board next year, please make your desire known to one of the nominating team members during the coming months. We are always grateful when someone shows that high level of initiative to express interest in board service without being asked. And with that, I'm going to turn things back over to Brian Nelson to introduce our candidates for one final word.
Thank you, Dale, for that wonderful report. And we're going to do this in alphabetical order. So, Kristen Harwell, you're up first.
Thank you, Brian. As you can see, my name is Kristen Harwell. I have been a member of Unity Spiritual Center Westlake since my wife Tavia and our daughter Alana moved to Ohio in 2016. We came from Centers for Spiritual Living in San Jose, California. And I think the thing we brought from that was the importance of sacred service. And so over the past 5 years, I have helped launch live streaming, which we started in June of 2017 and continue today. I was on the marketing team, helped launch the Gourmets for God initiative, that fundraiser, have assisted in back office IT, moving to our planning center, church management platform, as well as getting us onto the Google for nonprofits platform as well. More recently served with Concierge, as well in 2020, created the Mask Makers, a small group of fantastic women, some of them I see here today, who were willing to sew masks and deliver masks to those in our community in need. I am pretty clear that I'm very vested in the Unity Spiritual Center community, its abundance, its sustainability, and I thank you for your consideration. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Kristen. Next up is Kathy Lowry. Kathy, you're muted.
Kathy, you're muted. Yeah.
There we go. How's that?
Perfect.
I'm sorry. Thank you. Thanks for giving me the opportunity to run for the Board of Trustee. My husband, Brian, and I have been an active members of Unity Spiritual Center for 20 years. I know everybody in this room, and I think that's because I got the pleasure of being an office administrator in the business office at USC for almost 8 years until December 2018. And wow, that really helped me learn a lot about the operations of our center. I've also been involved in many sacred service teams over the past 20 years. Currently, I'm a team leader on the community development team, and I've been volunteering in the youth and family ministry for over 20 years. This year, I am very hopeful that we are looking back at coming back together in our buildings and grounds after a full year of physical separation. That's challenging. However, I believe I have the experience, dedication, skills, vision, faith, and positive energy to support our community in being strong and sustainable for years to come. If you vote for me, I will be eager to hear from you, listening and responding to your specific concerns and ideas. I won't let you down. Together, we can continue to see our center flourish. Thank you for your kind consideration in voting for me.
Thank you, Kathy. And next we have Eileen Spada.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for participating in this online Zoom session. This has been a very enlightening and challenging year for the members of the Board of Trustees. And I overtook maintaining and overseeing the operations of the building and grounds. As we've mentioned before, we had a lot of projects. We had to get very creative with many things that we undertook. And I hope that you will continue to support me in my continuing to give service in this area. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Eileen. So Marilyn Volkerding, you are next.
Okay, hi everyone, Marilyn here. So good to see you all today. When I first came to Unity, I have to tell you, when we sang and talked at the end of the service about I am God, you are God, we are God. Wow, did that impact me? I thought, if I am God, what am I doing? And it really helped me to know that I needed to get in touch with love and goodness and bringing about a world that works for us all. And I've just loved all the messages that I've learned here at Unity and all of your bright, smiling faces. So I've been on a lot of committees. I've joined you at a lot of book studies and had a lot of cups of coffee with you all. And I love being at Unity. I enjoy committee work, and I'm open to being teachable and learning and a part of the beautiful vision that is our Unity Center. So I just want to thank you for letting me be a nominee. If you want to vote for me, that's wonderful. But whoever you vote for, I know is going to do a great job. And I also want you all to know that it is really a fun process. And I have no idea what a trustee meeting is like, but I've been encouraged to believe that they are wonderful. So I just want you all to enjoy being the beautiful person that God has created. And thanks for listening and enjoy the process. Thank you.
All right, I just want to give a huge round of applause to our 4 candidates for stepping up. And at this time, see by our agenda, we will turn it over to Greg for our voting process. So Greg, to you.
Thank you, Brian. As Kate mentioned at the beginning of this meeting, now is the time where we will be publishing the online poll to vote for our candidates. There will be 4 people, as you've just heard from one last time. Vote for no more than 3. If you vote for more than that, there's nothing we can do about it, but please vote for only 3. And now with that, I'd like to turn it over to Kate to publish that poll. And once that poll has been completed, the tally is done automatically by Zoom. That tally will be added to the absentee ballots that we've received. And then Kate will announce who our 3 members of the Board of Trustees will be. So I see now that the poll is on the screen. Please commence with your votes.
And if for some reason, if you do not see the poll on the screen, you could always direct message me. You could chat within here who you're voting for, and I could add that. But it seems like everybody, almost everyone really has voted. This is great.
So we'll give it just another few seconds. And when Kate, you're
I'm
that
pressing the things, but nothing's happening. How do you do it? Oh, I got it. Forget it.
Yep. So Kate, when you're satisfied that everyone has voted and you've had the chance to take those totals and add them to the absentee ballots, please make your announcement when you're ready.
Will do. Just give me one moment.
I'm going to assume that everybody has had a chance to vote, and I'm going to go ahead and end the poll. Is that all right, Kate? Does it look like everybody? Yeah.
Yep, we have 62 votes out of a possible 63 or 64-ish. So
okay,
good.
I'm going to end this poll.
And Joanne, I'll confirm with you over chat just to.
Mm-hmm.
If you heard my cat meow. No one vote for Becky. Okay, so we have confirmed the votes. And I just want to reiterate everything that everyone has said so far, that you can't go wrong with any of these candidates, right? So no matter what the outcome is today, we're going to end up with amazing board candidates. And whoever is not ended up, this is my cat, Becky, being elected today, please consider running again in the future, because we know that we will have a spot at the right time for you. So with that, the winner, the board candidate nominee who has been elected will be, in no particular order, Kathy Lowry, Eileen Spada, and Kristen Harwell. So thank you, everyone. And back over to Greg.
Thank you, Kate. And congratulations to those who have been selected. And thank you so much, Marilyn, for being willing to go through this process. And as Kate mentioned, we do hope that you consider going through the process again in the future. So namaste to you. Thank you. Okay, so now moving forward on the agenda, we have the election of the 2021-2022 nominating committee. And at this point, I believe we open it to the floor for nominations from the membership of current members who would be eligible to serve on that committee. So do we have any nominations for people who would like to serve?
Looks like Shannon has raised her hand.
I'd like to recommend Terry Brewer.
Terry, do you accept that nomination? So we have Terry Brewer accepting the nomination. Thank you, Shannon, and thank you, Terry. Ted, you've raised your hand.
I would like to nominate Barry Drossik.
Barry, would you accept that nomination?
It has been a pleasure for me to serve on this team 6 times in the past, and I hope to serve many times in the future. However, this year is not a good year for me.
Thank you, Barry, and thank you, Ted. We understand, and we appreciate the nomination. Do we have any other nominations from the floor?
We have a hand raised from Marilyn.
I would like to nominate Susan Armstrong for the committee.
Susan, do you accept the nomination? You're muted, Susan. Perhaps she's away from.
She's there, she's just muted.
Thank you, Marilyn. And yeah, I think that would be fun, like you said. Yeah, I'll take some fun.
That's wonderful. So we have two candidates. Do we have any other nominations from the floor for serving on the nominating committee for the coming year?
We did have a hand raised from Kristen. I just want to give you the opportunity in case you did want to speak.
No, I'm okay.
Okay. If there are no more nominations, we have our 2 committee members for the 2021-2022 nominating committee. So, Mr. Parliamentarian, since that we have only 2 candidates for 2 spots, do we need to have a vote, or is there no vote necessary at this point?
You should take a motion and a second to approve the 2 candidates as presented and hopefully be approved by acclamation.
Okay, then I do so move that the 2 candidates that have been nominated, Terry Brewer and Susan Armstrong, be accepted as our nominating committee for 2021-2022. May I have a second to the motion, please?
I second.
Thank you, Todd. So all in favor, please click the yes button on their screen. Very good. All opposed? And I see no dissenting votes, so the motion passes. Very good.
Barry has raised his hand. I just want to make sure, Barry, if you needed to speak.
No, I just forgot to unraise my hand.
Okay, very good. Okay, so let me find the agenda again. Okay, so with that, thank our nominees for accepting serving in that capacity, and now yield the floor to once again to Todd Bartimol for the endowment fund report.
Thanks, Greg. I just wanted to make sure I was unmuted. The endowment fund was established, it's going on 4 years now, it's in 2017. The purpose of the endowment fund is to raise and save and invest assets that will support Unity financially into the unforeseeable future. Unity's endowment is established as a permanent endowment, meaning that amounts that are and have been contributed will continue to be held and invested. So the principal is invested in perpetuity, and it will provide hopefully a continuing stream of income to Unity once it gets big enough. Quite simply, the endowment is a prosperity gift, which will produce in perpetuity. It's our seedling that will grow into a wellspring of Unity's continuing prosperity. This year, we started with $21,643.71. We had donations of $6,538 for a total of $28,181.71. In addition to the donations, then we saw growth on the fund of $5,107.83, bringing the total year-end balance to $33,289.54. The endowment committee during 2020 consisted of myself, Ted Brewer, Barry Jahosic, Dale Miller, Tom Spence, and Reverend Joanne Rowden. Anna Klee ended her term in the beginning of 2020 and was replaced by Tom. Officers elected in 2020 were myself as the chair, Dale Miller as a vice chair, Barry as the financial secretary, and Reverend Joanne as the recording secretary. When we started the endowment, we set in 2017, we set an investment policy which limited investments to stocks, bonds, mutual funds, and ETFs that invest in stocks and bonds, cash equivalents, and certificates of deposit. Initially, the committee has been limiting investment donations to ETFs and mutual funds to ensure diversity of investment. The committee agreed that there would be no purchase of individual stocks by the endowment unless the fund reaches $100,000. However, should someone decide to donate a particular stock, the committee would determine whether it would make sense to hold that stock or sell it and invest it in accordance with our allocations, which we'll talk about, our investment allocations. Thus far, while we've received some stock donations, we've elected to sell the stock and reduce it to cash in order to invest it in accordance with our investment allocation. The current targets for allocations of investments remains unchanged from prior years and is as follows: 40% in domestic equities, 25% in international equities, 20% in cash equivalents, and 15% in intermediate term bonds. The endowment has stayed generally within this allocation adopted by the committee. When additional donations are made, the allocation is adjusted to keep it within reasonable limits of our targets. At the year's end, as I mentioned, the endowment had $33,143.87. The allocation of these assets were within the parameters set by the endowment committee, and they were international. And by the way, I was told that I made an error in the acronym there, so it's SPDW rather than SPDR. So we'll correct that. Our target's 25%. There was 25.4%. The intermediate bond fund was at 15%. We're shooting, or was at 14.8%. We're shooting for 15. The domestic equities we're shooting for 40%. It was at 40.2, and we have cash equivalents of the target at 20%. It was at 19.6. Great thanks needs to be given to Barry, who regularly invests our donations as they come in to make sure that our allocations remain very close to the target range. Barry's been very dedicated to making sure that the endowment stays in those targets. In 2020, the committee's been conscious of trying not to compete, just like in prior years, with other fundraising. We don't want to supplant regular donations to Unity, but we want to supplement them. We want people to have to supplement. We believe that congregants who have donated to the endowment have been making donations typically in addition to their regular donations to Unity. In addition to regular donations, the committee's hope is that members and congregants will think of Unity in their estate plan, making the endowment a beneficiary of their will, trust, or other assets at death, which would allow for larger sums of money to be donated to the endowment and create a lasting legacy to benefit Unity. Despite the fact that we kind of thought of that as how the fund would be donated to, we really have seen much more in the way of small donations. We've seen regular donations to the fund by a wider group of congregants this year. It's been proven to provide a steady and significant increase in the value of the fund from year to year. The number of congregants who donated this year increased from 17 last year to 25 this year, and we hope to see the number of donors continue to increase year to year. The bylaws indicate that you can make an anonymous donation. However, when people donate, their names are announced every year. And so these are the amounts and the people who have donated. I want to thank Nadia Aloni, Marie Bayfield, Ted Brewer, Sandy Butcher, Catherine Katz, Lisa DeLees, Joanne Gerhardt, Kathy Ginter, Thomas Ginter, Sharon Hoff-Smith, Barry Jehozik, Kevin and Anna Klee, Lori Grimes, Brian Lowry, John and Shirley McFarland, Marge Samosky, Dale Miller, Jack Pearl, Lee Russell, Marge, I guess you got down there twice, Eileen Spada, Tom Spence, Jesse St. Christopher, Susan Sahovec, and Marilyn Volkenbein for donating this year. There was a small $58 carryover correction from 2019 that is also part of that total. That was something that was donated last year that didn't really get credited until this year. The endowment bylaws require the reporting of those who donate. Oh, I mentioned this already. Our investment results, the investment results in the endowment have really been very good this year. We've stayed, as I've mentioned, within our allocation. The positive markets this past year, especially after recovering in the 2020 dip, have helped increase the value of the endowment. Dips in the market provide us with an opportunity to purchase more investments at a lower cost, and over time, we expect to see the fund continuously grow. As indicated above, there were $6,538 in deposits, and the account grew $5,107.86, representing about a 15% growth rate of the fund in 2020. We really, as far as endowment fund marketing, we really have soft pedaled the marketing this year. We did not have great marketing efforts other than mentioning the endowment in some mailings, and we hope that when things get back on track, that we will be able to have some events and be able to come together to raise some money. We did set a goal in 2020 of raising another $10,000 this year, not including any growth that we might experience. The endowment committee has continued to see both growth and investment in the fund. The endowment has grown due to the generosity of people indicated in this annual report and the efforts of the committee members and donors, as well as the prosperity visionaries, the board, and the congregation. The committee is excited to continue to fund the endowment and to watch our little seedling grow into a tree that will bear fruit for unity for years to come. I don't know if there are any questions about the endowment report.
We do have one question from Shirley, if you want to go ahead and unmute.
Yes, Todd. Before the COVID hit and we were coming to church regularly, we always gave a portion of our weekly tithe to the endowment, but I don't know how to do that online. Can you tell us how to do that?
Well, like I know if you go, if you go to to Unity's website and you donate, there is a way that you can. There's a drop box, I think, where you can indicate the endowment rather than just the general
Oh,
fund.
I see. So we would just make like 2 donations that way. Yeah, because
right.
I used to send in a check and I would say, put this amount towards endowment. Okay.
Okay. Well, and certainly if you do send a check in, you can indicate what
Right.
you would like. So anyone who does send a check in can do that. But you know, and when we get back into when we get back at church, you could always, you know, the square had, you could choose which where you wanted to make your donation.
Okay, that answers my question. Thank you.
Thanks for your question, Shirley. Are there any other questions?
We have one from Barry. Barry, if you want to unmute.
This isn't a question more than a statement. I just want to remind everyone, this is your fund, and the endowment team believes in total transparency. As the financial secretary of the group, you can contact me at any time for an update as far as what our holdings are, the amount in the fund, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm more than happy on behalf of the endowment fund to answer any of your questions and tell you exactly where we stand.
Thanks, Barry. That's great. I think anyone on the committee would try to answer those questions. And Barry has his fingers on things probably on a weekly basis, if not more. So he would be a good person to ask. Okay. Are there any other questions or comments? So the endowment fund, the board, I mentioned who is on the endowment committee, and Dale Miller's chair or seat has come up this year. The nominating committee, along with a couple of the members of the endowment committee, have renominated Dale. Dale agreed to serve if nobody else wanted to step forward. At this point, we had not heard anyone else who wanted to step forward to be on the endowment committee. So the endowment committee renominated Dale, and I think we would need to vote on. We need a motion to have Dale be the board member elect for this year, and
so Todd, it's not that he's board member elect. We're nominating him to open position, yeah, to serve on the team.
Thank you for better
for another term.
So I'd like to nominate Dale for another term. If we can have a second.
I second it.
Okay.
That was Connie.
So Connie seconded it. All in favor, raise your hand.
Actually, click the yes button in your voting.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Yeah. We're mostly they're doing that.
Yes. How else can I screw it up?
I think we're good.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So
I don't
we have approval. We have approval,
okay.
Todd. I didn't see any no's, so we're good.
Okay. So we are good. Dale is on the endowment committee for another 3-year term.
Yay, Dale! Thank you.
Yay, and thank you, Dale. And I want to thank all the people on the endowment committee. It's it's a good group of dedicated people, and I think we're going to over time really see the endowment exponentially grow and start producing some annual income for Unity in the foreseeable future. So I want to turn it over to Reverend Joanne for her minister's report.
Thank you, Todd.
Thank you.
Thank you for all your work. Thank you to everybody so far, man. Just sitting here in this meeting and hearing everybody's reports and just knowing how much work goes into Unity Spiritual Center and the dedication and commitment of each one that shows up and says yes to that work. So thank you so much for that. And what a year it has been. 2020, 2021. I belong to a Facebook group called Things They Didn't Teach You in Seminary. And I think this whole year has been that, right? No, they didn't teach us how to go through a worldwide pandemic. And so it has just been fascinating to remain centered in truth and spirit, and yet at the same time moving us forward. So that is what has kind of generated a lot of my energy over this past year. The year started out easily enough, normally enough, and then of course, March, everything shifted. And so as a result, you know, I really committed myself to being here for the community during this time, recognizing the challenge that everybody was going through. So that was my commitment to you. I will be here for this community and walk us through this. And so as a result, you know, we didn't have as many guest speakers last year because I was there I think I only missed 4 Sundays in the entire year and was there for the rest of the time. And I'm so grateful for those couple of guest speakers. Aaron Donovan was here before everything started. And then Donna Van Osten, thank you so much, Donna. She was here for 3 weeks so that I could have some time off in August, and that was so very much appreciated. It was a great year to have Seeing Through a Spiritual Lens as our focus. So it was 2020, Seeing Through a Spiritual Lens. And of course, I think we all did what we could to move through that year from that perspective. And many people shared how they had done so in November at a great service where people included their little videos and their ways that they have been living through that spiritual lens perspective. So I really appreciated that. And I'm so grateful to Michelle and Greg who stepped up to offer some live Saturday services. Saturday is like my one day off with Gary. Other than that, we have no days off together. So, you know, it was so nice that they stepped up to do that so that I could maintain that day off still. And I know lots of people joined those services. We've got new people coming because they came to those services initially, and now they're joining us on live stream. So it's been just fabulous. I tell you what, 2 people that I really want to thank is our youth and family ministry team. And that specifically would include Scott Gessner and Kimberly Buhner, because the 2 of them together have held our youth and family ministry together over this past year. Yeah. So we did take like the month of April, didn't have anything going on, but starting May, we resumed our opening circle with the children on Zoom. And we are here every Sunday other than the first Sunday of the month. And while we don't have a huge group, we have kids coming every single week. And Scott and Kimberly have just been dedicated to be there for our youth and family ministry. And I am so grateful for them. Kimberly has just done amazing things with our YOU group, having great discussions about very relevant topics. And so I'm so grateful not only to them, but to the parents who show up, because this is all on Zoom and the parents have to show up in that Zoom room with them. And I know how easy it would be. I know the kids are doing a lot of Zooming. So I'm really grateful to each one who chooses to show up. Our prayer chaplain program has been just amazing this past year. The prayer chaplain stepped up very early on and decided that they would offer their own meditation time Monday, Wednesday, Friday through our Facebook page. And so for months, they did that. And it was really well received, well attended. You can still find archives of those on our YouTube page. There's a I forget what they call that, where there's a playlist that gives you all of those meditations. So if you're looking for some meditation time, go check them out. The prayer chaplains have created those. And we've had some change to the prayer chaplain program. So Michelle has stepped down as our leader. Susan, who is also very actively supporting Michelle in a lot of ways, has also kind of stepped back. Both of them are continuing on in the program, but just recognizing it was time to move away from leadership. And so Marilyn Valkerding stepped into leadership of that prayer chaplain team. And I'm so grateful to Marilyn, and just imagining wonderful things unfolding for our prayer chaplains. But our prayer chaplains are here every Sunday. They're here in the Zoom room. I know we had 60 some people in here today, so I know you all know how to find your way into Zoom. So I want to invite you to fellowship every Sunday after service in our Connecting in Community Zoom room, which you can find that link on our webpage. And our prayer chaplains are there every week. And what we do is if somebody comes in for prayer, we send you off to a breakout room. So you're still having very private space to have that prayer time. And grateful for those prayer chaplains who have kept that going for us. We have continued noon meditation throughout the year. It's not a huge number of people joining me, but it is one opportunity that you don't need to be online for. That, like our prayer call, is a call-in number. Same number is used for both, so you can find that information on our website. But between the 8 a.m. prayer call and the Wednesday noon meditation, it offers a couple of opportunities that don't require Zoom, don't require the internet. So if you're like had enough of all of those things, then join us for one of those. That's all through the phone. Education classes certainly did shift from what I intended to do last year. We had 1/4 of a communication class that we started, and then everything kind of got thrown out the window. We also completed prosperity class. Even mystics have bills to pay. We did those 2 before the pandemic, and then everything shut down and everything suddenly looked different. You know, it was really a busy time. Those first, I would say, 8 weeks, I was just so busy scrambling to put everything together. Our marketing team was so fabulous because we'd come up with an idea and it needed to get out there right away. And they just worked so hard to get that information out there. So I have a 10 a.m. Zoom group that I do still. We've been meeting now for almost 10 months since April 13th of last year. And that has been a fabulous group. But in addition to that, I offered on a Wednesday night, knowing not everybody can do a morning thing, I offered a Wednesday night, Finding Yourself in Transition, back in June, July, because obviously we were all finding ourselves in transition. And so I had a lot of people join me for that. A lot of people joined me for an 18-week long discussion group on how to be an anti-racist, which was just amazing, that group who joined me for that. And then of course we had our fall program and all of those discussions. So currently I am holding discussions about Beguiled by Beauty, which was our most recent Sunday series. That will continue for a couple more weeks. And then in the end of February, I'm going to start a 5-week Lenten discussion, going back to the basics, going back to Eric Butterworth, Discover the Power Within You. So if you want to join me for that, that's going to start February 28th for 5 weeks. And it'll be right after, well, 12:30 after service as well. So that's kind of what's been happening class-wise. In addition, other people, Susan stepped up, for example, and she's been doing Circles of Grace Tuesday night. This Tuesday is the last one. Roberta, Susan, Deb, they've been really the core of our Sunday evening opportunity to come together for intention circles. And so 7:30 p.m. every Sunday, they're here in the Zoom room leading that. So there's lots, as Greg already mentioned, lots of opportunities to connect. And I hope you check out our website and choose some of those things. And then Karen Kasmer and Karen Tomoff stepped up really early on as well. They offered a support group on Wednesday evenings of how to get through using spiritual tools through the early days of this. So grateful to them as well. And to Laverne and leading that fabulous fall program group. There, again, we didn't know what that was going to be like, being that it was going to be all online, but we had almost 100 people, just under 100 people participating in small groups over Zoom. And I was so pleased with that turnout. So that was fabulous. Let's see, Roberta, I can't say enough about, thank you, Roberta, who is here supporting me as our office administrator still. She and I meet most days over Zoom, kind of talk about what's happening, what needs to be done. And this the whole thing would not continue on if I didn't have that administrative support. And I am so grateful for Roberta for that. And of course, Kathy in our bookkeeping office, and Donna, who supports our bookkeeper. So I know Todd already mentioned them, but I, again, want to do so because they are doing such a great job for us during this time. I am still involved in the field licensing program as a mentor for Unity Worldwide Ministries. It's an area that I want to give back to. I want to serve myself. So I serve by giving back to Unity Worldwide Ministries. And I have a mentee up in Royal Oak, Michigan, who probably has another year through the program before he'll be ordained. But that is just such a fabulous way to give back. And I really appreciate the board and this community's understanding, because it does take me away from my office duties a couple of weeks each year. So I'm really appreciative of that. And then I just want to let you know about new opportunities that are coming up. You may have participated in a small group survey that went out a couple of weeks ago. We already have our women's group settled. So that's going to be starting the first Wednesday in March from 7 till 8:30. And there will be some information coming up on the website about that soon. But if you're a woman and want to participate, that's what's going to be happening. So that'll be coming up, and we're going to be looking at things like discussing books discussions ongoing, and looking at unity ideas and having discussions about that. So those are all things that are in the works coming up. Last, but certainly not least, I want to thank Bonnie and Jerry. Bonnie and Jerry have done such an amazing job through this past year. You know, as we early on tried to figure out what was this going to look like. And I remember that Sunday they took all their equipment home and the work of getting that all set up. But they have done an amazing job keeping us engaged creatively with music. Bonnie, you know, thinking to reach out to Karen and Daniel and now Dedry and Eric, and now we've got Trey back. And so grateful, Bonnie and Jerry. Thank you so much for everything that you have done for us this past year as well. One of the things that I haven't had an opportunity to do at an annual meeting, because normally we do this on a Sunday when we're all together, is to let you know that we have some new members who have joined. So I want to let you know who those new members are. Denise Demet, who came a little over a year ago, maybe a year and a half ago, had completed really all of her education before all of this started and was grateful to be able to join this past month. She reached out to me. And then very early on in the pandemic, we were in Zoom and a woman showed up. Her name is Catherine Katz. And you might know Catherine because before Margie was our bookstore manager, Catherine was our bookstore manager for 10 years. And so Catherine had kind of been away from Unity for a while, but came back during the pandemic, has been very active and involved with us and has renewed her membership. So we welcome Catherine Katz as well. And then finally, many of you might know the name Linda Thunberg. Linda had moved away to North Carolina for a number of years, but she too has been very active here, had served on our board in the past, and Linda is back. So we want to welcome Linda Thunberg as well, who is here in the meeting today. So Linda, we're really grateful to have you here. And then the final thing that I want to do, again, not something I typically do in the annual meeting, but this is a different year. And so we have had 5 congregants members who have passed this year. Perhaps you've heard that they passed, or maybe you haven't. So I want to just take a moment to honor each of these 5 individuals who are such a loving part of our community. First, John Erbs. Many of you know John and remember the many services he led here before I got here. And I understand was a bit of a jokester. So, you know, we miss John Erbs. He passed away earlier this year. And our beloved Jan White. She passed away this fall, and I miss Jan so much. Sherry McCullough, her daughter Crystal had been a part of our community with Sherry and had gone through her own addiction, had overcome that, and then passed away 2 years ago. And then this year, her mom Sherry passed away. So I was so sorry to hear that Sherry had passed away. And many of you on the 8 a.m. prayer call know Don Howell's voice because he would be there every morning praying for many people. We would hear him speaking. Don had a stroke in early January and passed away a couple of weeks ago. And then just this week, I found out from Betty that Peggy O'Brien passed away. Many of you know Peggy is that Catwoman. She had loved her cats and had dementia and passed away. I think she was cremated yesterday. So we hold Peggy and Don and Sherry and Jan and John in this place of sacred knowing that life continues and goes on, and that realm that they are, that is a mystery to us, is where they have been set free. And we just honor the life that they were, the life that they gave us, the love that they shared, and are so grateful for their presence in our life and in the life of this community. So that is what I have to share with you today, although I'm happy to answer any questions if anybody has any questions for me.
What is the meaning of life?
Tune in next Sunday
Yeah.
for the latest installment. Thanks, Greg. You're back.
I hear it's 42.
42.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, that's it.
That's right. Hitchhiker's Guide.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you so much for that wonderful minister's report. And before I move on to the next item on the agenda, which is acknowledgement of our outgoing board members, 2 points of order have come to my attention. First, Bonnie chatted Kate regarding our treasurer's report and that we did not vote on the approval of that report. We discussed during our most recent Board of Trustees meeting that we would not be voting on the treasurer's report because it's not audited. And we did not want to enter into the record an unaudited treasurer's report. So I would ask our parliamentarian, Dale, what would be the procedure at this point regarding the treasurer's report?
I think it's up to you as the chairperson.
Okay.
Not submit the treasurer's report for approval.
I think that's what we as a board discussed in January. And that would be why we did not vote on the treasurer's report. If anyone has any specific questions regarding that report, those documents, as you have received, are available for public view, and you can contact Todd at any time regarding specific questions regarding that. So thank you for your question, Bonnie. And then the second point of order that has come to my attention is regarding the ballots. And although we don't have paper ballots en masse this year because of electronic voting, we still do have some ballots that came in absentee. And so we would like to have a motion before the floor to delete the votes, because we're not destroying them because there's no physical paper to destroy, but to delete the ballots. So I make the motion to delete the ballots for the Board of Trustees vote this year. May I have a second?
I see.
Barry. Yeah, Barry second.
Okay. All in favor, please click your approval green button on the screen. Okay, the motion passes. So thank you very much for both of those questions. So moving on now to the recognition of our outgoing members. Not only are they outgoing, they're outgoing. Most years at our annual meeting, we have one or more trustee who has completed their term. And this year, after serving our Unity Spiritual Center community for the past 3 years, in John's case, and for the past year in Sandy's case, each are stepping aside after distinguished sacred service. John has served as a member of our trustees since February of 2018. A longtime student of truth, John had been a member of Unity of Greater Cleveland prior to joining our community. Ready, willing, and able, John immediately jumped in with both feet, taking on what board members have come to recognize as one of the more time-committed responsibilities, that of board liaison to our buildings and grounds team. When Prosperity House was still occupied by tenants, John responded to their requests and needs, and when it was vacated, he managed that process. He also led our efforts to complete the sale of our properties with potential commercial buyers. John is always willing to roll up his sleeves and get the job done. From plumbing maintenance to roof repair, his active participation in all aspects of our upkeep will always be appreciated. But the life experience, wisdom, and willingness to speak the truth that he knows that he brought to our board meetings is even more valuable. Thank you very much, John. And of Sandy. Sandy has served on our board since March of 2020. When board trustee Terry Brewer stepped aside because of unexpected need to tend to family concerns, the board needed to select a member to complete that term. Our board unanimously agreed that Sandy was the person we wanted to ask. After prayerful consideration, Sandy agreed to become part of our Board of Trustees team. Having already been actively contributing to our spiritual community by leading our outreach team, Sandy continued to do so as a member of the board. She also served as the board liaison to that team, as well as to the correspondence team and the special events team. Every month, our board discusses to whom we would like to send special thanks for contributions of time, talent, and treasure. Once that's decided, Sandy enthusiastically provided the handwritten, lovingly prepared artistic creations that are the hallmark of her thank you cards. Anyone who has received a card from Sandy knows immediately that the gratitude and love expressed by the board that is brought to life by Sandy are truly heartfelt. We are grateful for her soulful expressions of appreciation. Thanks to both John and to Sandy. And if we were physically present together today, it would be my honor to present to each of you a gift to acknowledge your contributions to the Board of Trustees. Instead, please look for a delivery from the United States Postal Service in the coming week, or for what we hope, or in the next week or so, for what we hope will be an ongoing reminder to you of your dedicated service to Unity Spiritual Center and our eternal gratitude for it. Blessings to both of you. So thank you to each of you. It's very much appreciated. So now I would yield the floor to Reverend Joanne for our closing prayer.
Oh, thank you, Greg, and everybody. Let's just take another deep breath. Just recognize the love and the activity that's been shared here, the commitment each one has once more for this community, the way God's vision continues to call us forward to be all that we can be, the ways that we have supported this community in thriving through this time. We are so very grateful. And we just offer ourselves once more to that divine power and presence that we call God, that is within each and every one of us and within the life of this community, as we say yes to this next year and to being all that God intends us to be, as we do the work that is ours to do, to create a world that works for all. We are so grateful, and we allow this to be, as we say, thank you, God, and so it is. Amen and amen. You're muted somehow.
Yes, I am. Okay. Thank you very much. And before making the motion to close the meeting, I would just like to remind our returning and new board members to join us immediately following this service in a breakout Zoom room that Reverend Joanne will provide. So having said that, now I will make the motion to close the proceedings for the 2021 annual meeting. May I have a second to that motion, please?
I second the motion and say excellent work, board members.
Thank you, Terry Brewer. And so all in favor of closing the meeting, please click the green approve button on your screen. The motion passes, and I now call a close to these proceedings. Thank you all.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
And thanks, everybody.
It was great seeing
Bye,
you all.
everyone.
Nice seeing everybody.
Hi, everybody.
Happy Super Bowl day.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye, everyone. Get in there and say bye.
Bye. Thank you, friends. Blessed be.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Oh, Kate, I've got to pull back my host from you, and then I can move you to the room with us.
Quickly.
Zoom.
Yeah, like the last page or something.
Okay, now I got to redo this. We're missing someone. Who are we missing? Oh, Kate, there you are. Okay, I'm going to open that room up and I'll be right there.